Welcome to the Well Seasoned Librarian Podcast. I'm your host, Dean Jones, and today this is Season 11, Episode 12. I'm having the honor of speaking with Linda Skeens, who is the author of a cookbook, Blue Ribbon Kitchen. Linda is an Appalachian grandmother who has won over 2,000 blue ribbons at county fairs across the country. The book features over 100 prize-winning recipes as well as helpful tips and stories from her kitchen. I'm going to take you now to my conversation with Blue Ribbon Fair winner, author Linda Skeens. Welcome to the Well Seasoned Librarian Podcast. I'm your host, Dean Jones, and today I'm talking with Linda Skeens, who's the author of the Blue Ribbon Kitchen, Recipes and Tips from America's Favorite County Fair Champion, which is out now. For our listeners, Linda, who are not familiar with you, can you tell them where you're from and where do you live now?
I live in Castlewood, Virginia. I was born in a little coal mining town in Dayton, but I've been in Castlewood since 1983. And I was a cook at the school there and entered the fairs there and just spent my life here doing things.
Did you have any food mentors when you were growing up, a recipe or a relative or a parent that may have influenced you cooking-wise?
My mother and mother-in-law both, which my mother-in-law was after I became married, but my mother was a wonderful cook. She could cook just about anything. And I got to learn a lot from her.
Your first competition was in 1985 that you were able to make food for a fair and win a prize for it. How did this prize change your life?
Well, it just got me excited about doing it. I'm very competitive and I like doing it, and I've been doing it ever since. And I'm planning on entering the fair in Russell County next month. I've already got stuff crafts made, got stuff canned. All I got to do is some bacon, but I love doing it. I'm very competitive and I just enjoy doing it.
In 2022, you had a huge number of wins at the Virginia-Kentucky District Fair. This was a big event in your life. Can you talk about how it changed things for you?
It changed a lot in my life because I don't do Facebook, I don't do computers, cell phones. I've never been on a plane. I've never been to a big city. So I got invited to be on Today's Show and Kelly Clarkson's show and Mike Huckabee's show. A lot of places I got to go that I would never have went probably. So it's been a game changer for sure.
This leads to you being on the Kelly Clarkson show. Can you talk about that and how it kind of changed things for you?
I really enjoyed it. We had a good time, and she was extremely nice to me, and she had my cooking out there and said she was excited for me and happy for me.
Now, this led to you being approached by a publisher to write a cookbook. How did you feel about the idea when you got the letter?
Well, when I got the letter, I read it and I thought about it. I'd always wanted to do a cookbook and I never had an opportunity, but I was just where I'm dealing with, I have leukemia and I'm on a chemo pill and I'm in first stage remission, but there's no cure for it. So I wasn't sure if I would have the time or the energy, but I wanted to do it. So I just put my heart and soul in it and decided to try it.
I want to say my condolences from that. I have a little knowledge of what that's like, and I'm sorry you're going through that.
Well, I just figure, God knows what I need, and I'm 75, so I've already been blessed anyway. So I'm looking, if I can get 10 to 20 more years, what could you ask for?
It's true. I like that sentiment. That's good. I kind of feel the same way. Your cookbook, The Blue Ribbon Kitchen, has come out. And can you talk about what it was like to hold the book in your hands when you first saw it, when you first got a copy of it?
No, I actually almost cried. I was so excited. We got it in the mail and opened it up. And I was just so happy with it. I think they did a wonderful job. It's not only just recipes. And so many people have told me that they were just expecting a cookbook. But at all these book signings I go to, they say, your book is amazing. It's your life story. It's poems you wrote. It's things about you. It tells your whole life, not just a cookbook. And people have been so gracious about it. And I think I'm just really happy with it.
I really loved getting a chance to look at it. I have a copy of it, and I thought it was beautifully done. To me, I was very excited to see the recipes, and I thought if I could send something to my friends in Britain or Italy or Germany and show them what American food is. Because I think we always struggle to say what American food is. To me, your cookbook really exemplifies American food. Did you struggle with kind of a concept when writing it, or did you just put out some of your favorite recipes? How did it come about?
They asked me to pick out 100 of my favorites, which I did. And some, believe it or not, I actually had to sit down and make a recipe because, like my coleslaw and things, I'm one of the old cooks. I would just put all the ingredients in it, mix it up, taste it, add a dab of this or a dab of that. And you can't do that in a cookbook. So I actually had to sit down and formulate a recipe for some of my stuff. But I did it.
You do canning in a lot of your competitions, but it's not. I want to be clear to people. There's all kinds of recipes in here, from baking to main dishes to all kinds of different things. And I really love the whole scope of the cookbook. It's got some wonderful things, and it makes me think about a lot of the food I grew up eating. Um, can you talk about canning a little bit for those of us like myself who sometimes don't can as well as we would like, and would look for any kind of expert tips from you on canning?
Well, I tell a lot of people have someone in their life, a mother, father, grandmother, someone that can teach you. And if you don't have that, the best advice I'd give anybody is to buy a ball canning book. You can buy them at Walmart, Royal King places. They have the instructions to can anything from A to Z or freeze it. And you can't go wrong with it. If you do it like they say and prepare it like that, it always turns out good. So
Sounds good. How about any tips for jam makers? I sometimes fail with jam and it's either too runny or just doesn't turn out right. Any tips for making jam?
do you use fruit pectin in it, like
Yeah,
the Surgel?
yeah.
Well,
One or
mine usually sets. I've had friends tell me the same thing. I don't know. I'll just make mine and hope for the best.
I think that's, yeah,
Seriously.
I probably can too. Now you're on TikTok now, which is a fairly new platform, and my kids are all using it and everything, but I have not really used it myself yet, but I'm familiar with it. How has it felt to be on TikTok?
Well, it's crazy to be on any of that because I wasn't sure. They tell me people are watching me do this or watching me. A lot of people say we love to watch you cook. And one girl told me that I was making pinwheel fudge in my kitchen, and they said I had 750,000 people watching me, and I almost fell over because I'd never expected anything like that.
I also want to ask you any tips you can provide about fudge, because I have never ever made fudge that didn't fail and have to be used as an ice cream topping. So any tips for cooking fudge?
The main thing about fudge is you go by the recipe. If it says real butter, don't use margarine, use real butter, because real butter will make it set better.
Yeah.
If it says use margarine, but if it states in the recipe real butter, I would use real butter. That's my biggest thing about it.
How about that softball test?
And my mom used to cook on a coal and cook wood stove. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. You had to build
Oh
your
yeah.
fire cook on it. And she made her fudge in an iron skillet on the stove. And she didn't have a thermometer. So when she would cook her fudge, her chocolate fudge, she would drop a little ball in a little bowl of cold water, and we'd roll it around with her fingers. And if it makes a soft ball and you can hold it together, it's done. If it doesn't, you have to keep cooking it till you get that little soft ball stage. And that's the way we tested candy back then, because we didn't have a thermometer.
Are there any food celebrities or food writers that you follow that you like to read their work or watch them on television?
Not in particularly. I tried when I first got married, I tried watching some of the chefs and TV shows, and a lot of them would call for ingredients that I'd never heard of or couldn't find at my local Piggly Wiggly store. And so I just cut out. I wanted my book to be good food, but simple recipes that you could find all the ingredients easy and you could make it easy. And that's what I was aiming for.
So I want to ask one last question. What's next for you?
Well, I've got about 7 or 8 book signings coming up at libraries and places. And I don't know, just whatever comes.
Taking it day by day.
Take one day at a time, honey, and be grateful for each day. And whatever comes up, I'll do it. Like getting to talk to you today was special.
Well, thank you. I really want to thank you for being on the podcast. I really can't speak enough about the book. I think it's a beautiful example of American cooking. And to me, it was very evocative of many memories of eating through my life to my childhood, food cooked by many of my relatives. So it's a wonderful gift in that way as well. So thank you for that. And I want to thank you for being on the podcast.
Well, I thank you for having me, and you have a great day, okay?
You have a beautiful day too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That was my conversation with Blue Ribbon winner, author Linda Skeens. Her book, Blue Ribbon Kitchen, Recipes and Tips from America's Favorite Country Fair Champion, is available now, and there's a link in the bio to purchase it. Next week, I'll be speaking with Zara Huber about her podcast, Breaking Pita with Z. She's recently appeared on Taste the Nation with Padma Lakshmi. That interview will be up next Monday. Until next week, I'll see you at the library.